Welcome to She's Interesting. I am so happy you guys are here. It is very quiet, very peaceful where I am today. If you're tuning in with video, if you're on Spotify video or on YouTube, you're going to see that I'm in a new location and I absolutely love it here. This is a members club that I'm a part of in the South. It is a beautiful space. Over time, I will tell you guys more about what I'm doing here and why I joined this members club, but I absolutely love it. I'm just relaxing on the couch right now and it's great. So let's think about this episode as our weekly one-on-one. We are just catching up. We're talking about progress. We're talking about what's going on over the summertime, and that's where we're going to start. One thing I forgot to mention is hello to everyone who's new here. I'm the founder of She's Interesting. My name is Rashel Hariri, and I'm so excited to dig into this week's episode. It's just me and you, boo. Let's get started. I have a list of things on my laptop that I need to refer to. Okay, so recently, I have been experiencing so many things, contemplating so many different things, and really feeling a lot of different things ever since I left Toronto and I moved to the South. My assumption, honestly, was that I was just going to hit the ground running, that I was going to get here and the change or the move, like relearning to live in a new place, would not affect me, that I would just, carry on with my roadmap and my plans. But that is, in fact, not what happened. I needed a lot more rest and recovery. I really needed that time to reset. And I've been here now for just over 2 months. Actually, it was 2 months, like a week ago. So I now feel very relaxed and in the zone, and I'm getting back to a really good routine and habit. And so let's talk about that. I'm so excited to tell you guys about what I'm doing for the next 6 months, how I'm preparing myself to level up. I'm giving myself 6 months to do this, and let's do this together. And part of leveling up and resetting is knowing when to say no to things that don't match my vision. And I'm sure that this aligns with you. So if you're also in your no era, check out Thank You for Saying No podcast. They talk about how they're grateful for when they were told no, said no, or when a situation didn't work out, because of what it taught them or led them to. So you can listen to Thank You for Saying No on all podcast streaming platforms, and you can also watch it on YouTube, just as you probably are with this episode right here. So for anybody who's new, I mentioned that I moved from Toronto to the South. We moved here for my husband's job, and I have just been getting comfortable with my surroundings. I really do love it here. I love the pace of life. I like the clarity that it's given me. There's been so many positive things, like even just reassessing the speed at which I work and why I always felt like I had to work at such an accelerated pace has been a really interesting thing to reflect. Also, just being more intentional with things. Sometimes when you live in such a busy city or a busy area, you constantly feel like you have to go because that's just the pace that everyone's going. You either go fast or you fall behind. And separating myself from that and leaving that environment, I feel like has been so good for me. In the beginning, it gave me a little bit of anxiety because I wasn't used to this new pace. But after 2 months, I am really, really, really enjoying it and enjoying being in my pause era, as I call it. Don't get me wrong. I did pause on a few things when I got here. I mentioned earlier that I had this crazy roadmap and there's so many things I wanted to do. But my body basically just said no. I was so tired. Moving from one country to another is so tiring, and you don't even realize the mental load that it takes to literally sell your house, pack up all of your things, move to a new country, get your green card, do all of these things to settle down. Like even the mental load of knowing, where should I go for coffee? Just little things like that you take for granted when you've lived in a place for so long and you're familiar with your surroundings can really lead to a heavy mental load throughout the day that you don't realize. So I found myself unintentionally having to slow down and rest. And I actually think that rest period has allowed me to get into what I'm now calling my reset era. I'm coming out of the pause era, if you will. And as I mentioned, I've been reflecting a lot about why did I have these preconceived ideas of how I'm supposed to work. We're not machines, we're human beings, and we're not meant to work at this pace and capacity. If you think about it, the typical 9-to-5 schedule was created over 200 years ago in the industrial and manufacturing era. throughout that development time, they needed a way to get the workers to work faster so that they could produce more, so that the rich can get richer and make more money. And so when you are clocking in and clocking out of your 9 to 5, think about who created this 9 to 5 schedule for you and why you are working under these current constraints of society. I know I'm getting super meta right now, but that's just something that I've been reflecting and thinking about. We're still to this day laborers, and how do we get out of a laborer mindset and just focus more on creation and building? And that's a lot of what I have been contemplating, honestly thinking about, and realizing that I have a lot more unlearning to do than I actually thought I did. What worked 200 plus years ago is not relevant to us now in 2024. If one of those dudes from over 200 years ago from the 18th, 19th century came up to you today and said, hey, this is how you need to work and how you need to be productive, would you listen to that person today? No. So why are we doing it now? And we really need to realize that it's so much more about the process of growth and learning and building and developing than it is crossing the finish line, because that's what we are trained to think. You have to cross that finish line. You have to get to the end. And I'm learning right now to enjoy the process of building my business, of growing She's Interesting, of doing all the things in my life and creating more harmony for myself than what I had before. There are new ways that I am approaching my life, and I think it's just because I'm in a different stage than I was before. So the first thing that I'm doing is I'm really planning for my future self. I've mentioned this before, where you need to think as your future self today in order to then become her. But I'm really taking this to the next level right now. At an insane scale. And I'm really excited about that. Again, I'm being productive, but in a good way. Okay. So this is how I'm planning for my future self. I am thinking about that future Rashel. How is she spending her day? How is she spending her time? How does she start the day? What does she do? And I'm really just living in that today. It's almost like a manifestation type of exercise, but you're actually doing the things. So one of those things is I've joined a members club because, number one, I think it's a great way for me to meet new people since I just moved to a new city. Number two, they have really great fitness programs. They have personal trainers. There's a pool out back over there. And it enables me not just have to work from my home office or like a coffee shop somewhere, but it gives me a better space, a more elevated and thoughtfully decorated space to work from, which means a lot to me. And it lets me get my workouts in. I don't have to think about it. I just go in the app and I book my workout every morning. And that's what future Rashel would do. She would be fit. She would be taking care of her health. She would be meeting the right people that are going to help her on her journey in life. And so that's exactly what I'm doing today, is figuring out where I want to put my money and my focus. Money is energy. And if you put it into the right things that help you grow and be your best self, that is the best investment that you could ever have. Think about the activities that the future you does, how you spend your time, and you can even create a schedule for yourself if that is really meaningful for you. Write, what time the future you wakes up, that like greater vision of yourself. What time does she wake up? What's she eat for breakfast? What's her attitude towards the day? How does she deal with conflict? How does she brush off difficult situations? All of these things are really important. And sometimes, unfortunately, because we're stuck in the rat race, we don't have the opportunity to take a step back and thoughtfully think about, are we showing up the way that we need to in order for us to get to the next stage or leap to the next stage in life? Matthew McConaughey had this really incredible thank you speech for the Oscars. I don't know if you guys remember, but this was when I think he won the Best Actor. This is what he said. So he said, "And to my hero, that's who I chase. When I was 15 years old, I had a very important person in my life come and ask me, 'Who's your hero?' And I said, I thought about it, and it's me in 10 years. So then I turned 25 10 years later, and that same person comes back to me and goes, 'Are you a hero?' I said, 'No, not even close.' She said, 'Why?' And I said, 'My hero is me at 35. You see, every day and every week and every month and every year of my life, my hero is always 10 years away. I'm never going to be my hero. I'm not going to obtain that, and that's fine with me because it keeps me with somebody to keep chasing.'" So to any of us, whatever those things are and whatever it is we look up to, whatever it is we look forward to, and whoever it is we're chasing, to that I say amen. And I love that. That really made an impact on me because you really should be your own hero. You should put yourself on a pedestal and think, yeah, I love her so much. I love my future self so much. I love myself so much that I am doing the things today that she will be thankful for in the future. And although I'm creating this aspirational person in my mind that I'm working towards, and hopefully one day I get there, it may not be right now, but it gives me something to work towards. It gives me something to chase. Why aren't we fulfilled with being in the process of development? Why are we always, for example, with business being like, how much money did you make? Did you sell your business yet? End game is what anybody's ever thinking about. Well, we never discuss the process and how beautiful the process is and how nice it is to actually live in the process. That's a great segue into number 2. So the second thing that I'm doing is focusing on being in the present. I know this is really difficult for those of you who are listening who are from big cities. I have a lot of listeners in LA, in New York, in Toronto, in London, in Dubai. These big cities, you gotta hustle. And that's just sort of the pace of the city, the attitude of the people that you're working with. Although I think Dubai is a little bit more chill, but still, right? Like things are moving at a faster pace. And so it's super important to focus on being in the present. I'm doing this to rewire my brain and not just focus on the end game. So in order to focus on the present, I actually check in with myself throughout the day just to see, am I getting distracted? Am I focusing on the wrong things? How is my attitude towards my day? And am I staying focused and disciplined? Which is the hardest thing to do, especially for anyone who is neurodivergent, who's an ADHDer. It is really difficult to stay focused and not fall off track. So if you have those check-ins with yourself, you can literally put a timer on your phone that goes off at noon every day. That's like mental check-in. And you can take note of how am I feeling? How am I progressing with my day? Is my routine going as planned? Is my schedule going as planned? And just because you're halfway through the day, it doesn't mean that you can't change the rest of your day or literally cancel meetings and focus on what you need to do. That's one thing that I'm learning to do as well in terms of being in the present, is making decisions right now, being super focused right now on what I need instead of worrying about what needs to happen in a week from now. Because oftentimes we have this like blindness when it comes to time. We forget about what we need to do today because we're so hung up on, oh man, I need to control the future and I need to be ready for, that meeting next week, that presentation, that speaking engagement I have. Let's take it one day at a time, focus on today, get the shit done today that you need to, so that next week you can focus on what you need to do then. That is my biggest tip that I have to help you reduce anxiety, is check in with yourself throughout the day. Check in with your calendar. Put it in your calendar. If you don't like the idea of putting an alarm on your phone, put in the check-in in your calendar throughout the week. And so just like the habit of brushing your teeth, you get into the habit of checking in with yourself. So the third thing that I'm doing is I am making social media benefit me. I'm not letting social media control what I consume. I'm not letting social media tell me what is in and what is out. I am not letting social media do that for me. I'm being very, very picky with who I follow, what type of content I consume, what hours in the day I consume the content, how much time I give myself to consume that content, and why I'm on there. For me, I'm on social media to collect insights, to see what the trends are, to see, what brands are popping up, to see what my competition is. That's what I'm doing on social media. If something pops up on my social media and it's making me feel a sense of FOMO, if it's making me feel like I'm falling behind, if it is veering me off course, you better believe that I am unfollowing and I am unsubscribing from that narrative ASAP, because it is so easy to let the internet and people's thoughts and all these manufactured things online push you off track. And we can't let that happen. We need to be focused. And I know it's summertime and everybody wants to chill and it's so easy to look on social media and scroll and find cute outfits or makeup or whatever it is. But we need to stay laser focused. I have the accounts that I follow based on fashion things that I like, travel things that I like. And when I am looking for those things, then I will go and seek them out. But I'm not letting myself aimlessly scroll where people are just telling me, you need to buy this shirt, you need to do this, you need to work faster, this is how you're gonna X, Y, and Z. No, We're not doing that this summer. This summer, we are living in the present and we're only going to social media when we need something. I've been working so hard on my mindset and my focus and my discipline that the last thing I need is for social media to just come and knock that all over, especially when I'm so focused on my future self, because she's the most important thing to me more than anyone and anything in this world. It's my future. If there's going to be a distraction or something that's going to mess up my mindset, that needs to go ASAP. It takes so much time to build your mindset and to focus on being positive, and it takes a lot of energy to do these things. And so the last thing you need is for social media to just come and knock it. So just to recap, the 3 things that I'm doing are planning for my future self because I love her so much and she's my hero. And 2, I'm actively working on being super present and checking in with myself on a daily basis so that I maintain focus and discipline and that my eye is on the prize and that nothing's going to knock me over. And then the 3rd thing is I am making social media benefit me versus me benefiting social media. These are the 3 things that I have been actively focusing on over the last 2 months that have really, really helped me with my mindset. Thank you for joining me on this episode. If you are new here, would love for you to follow me on Instagram and She's Interesting Podcast, and on TikTok. I'm trying to be more active on TikTok. I'm having a lot of fun there. And also we have a newsletter that is launching. The newsletter is so fun. It's all about your weekly one-on-one. And this weekly one-on-one gives you updates on business, on money, on life, spirituality, all the things that I am working through and thinking of for that week. That's what we're going to share. So I hope you enjoy. You can get the newsletter at she'sinteresting.com or in the show notes below. But love you guys. Thank you so much for sticking around and supporting my journey. And if you're heading to the South, send me a message because maybe we can meet up. I'm Rashel Hariri, founder of She's Interesting. Thanks for hanging out with me today.